If you're interested in learning to make soap, it won't be long until you start to wonder about making milk soaps. They have such amazing moisturizing properties that there's a huge appeal in learning to make them. But the process can seem daunting or trickier than normal soap, and actually that's far from the case. But lots of people stop pursuing learning to make milk soaps before they ever give it a try because they feel like it's going to be overly difficult. But it doesn't have to be that way. Come on, let's chat about making goat milk soap. Milk soaps, or goat milk soap specifically, have a huge appeal. Once people use them, there's really no going back. We've had customers say they're addicting. You absolutely can't go back once you've tried goat milk soap. Other soaps, even other handmade soaps, just aren't the same. The extra moisturizing that the milk gives the soap feels amazing and can do wonders for skin. But the process of making goat milk soap can seem daunting. Let's start by clearing up some of the vocabulary and the misconceptions around making milk soaps. First, let's talk about goat milk soap base. If you have seen like a large brick of white, like stuff that says goat milk soap base on it, let's talk about what that is and if that has a place in our process of learning to make goat milk soap. In our soap making classes, I have heard a lot of different times people asking, I've got this white stuff and it says goat milk soap on it. Can I use this in the soap making recipe that we're talking about? And the answer actually is no. Lots of people assume that if you're going to make soap, obviously you're going to need soap base because that must be what's in it. But when you're making goat milk soap, when you're making it with lye, goat milk soap base is a very different process. It's a piece of the process of melt and pour soap. And that's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to take the soap base and kind of chunk it up and melt it and then add your scent and color in and pour it. And that's all that process is just melting this base and then reforming it into the bars with whatever it is that you'd like to add to that. However, this is not the kind of, like, if you're looking at people who are using lye and water or lye and milk, if you've watched other videos of people making soap that way, goat milk soap base is not a part of that process. We're teaching something called cold process soap making, and that, or we're making lye soap, if you've heard people talk about it that way. It means that lye is used in the process of making this soap. We're at the ingredients level of soap making. So if you are intrigued by soap making because because one of the benefits is knowing exactly what's in your soap. You know exactly what has gone into that soap. You don't have to worry about there being other stuff put in there, other chemicals, other things that you just don't want to put on your skin. You don't have to worry about any of that because you put every ingredient in this soap and you know exactly what's in there. If you like having that kind of knowledge of what's in your product, then you have to stay away from the goat milk soap base, because with a goat milk soap base, you're trusting whoever made the base that they put excellent ingredients in there and that they didn't put in any fillers or anything else, that they put just the high quality ingredients in there. It's the same as trusting whoever made the bar of soap that they put excellent ingredients in this product. So if you are looking to be at the ingredients level of soap making, if you want to have control of everything that goes into your soap, then the soap base just isn't the direction that you want to go. You want to be at the ingredients level. You want to be dealing with oils and lye, and in our case with the milk soaps and goat milk, and those are the ingredients that we're going to use in your soap making. I had one lady who was in our class just recently who said, my friend found like a 5-gallon bucket of soap base. I'm so excited to make soap. And I had to tell her, oops, that's actually the wrong thing. So I don't know if she'll end up using her soap base or not. But just know that if you're looking to make lye soap, if you're looking to be on the ingredients level, there isn't a place. Goat milk soap base is not a piece of that equation. So just know that that's a different process. If you want to use that for some way, go ahead and do that. But know that that's a different process than cold process soap making or making lye soap with your goat milk, for your goat milk soap. In this video today, we're going to assume that that is what you want, that you're wanting to make cold processed soap. You're wanting to start with the oils and the lye and the goat milk and make your own soap. We're going to assume that that's what you're pursuing as we talk about the rest of the vocabulary and things for making goat milk soap. So let's talk for a minute about lye. Lye can be a stumbling block to people as they're pursuing soap making in general and milk soap making even more so. Because lye, first of all, let's talk about safety stuff. Lye is caustic. That means it will burn you if you get it on your skin. So you need to take precautions when you're working with lye. You need to wear gloves. You need to have a good set of goggles. Glasses don't count. You need to have goggles that either fit over your glasses, or if you don't wear glasses, you can get goggles that fit right up against your face. Make sure there's never going to be anything splashing up into your eyes. And I like to wear a dust mask when I'm pouring the lye. Lye is a powder. It doesn't really like poof up when you're pouring it, but you can smell it just a little bit. So I wear a dust mask while I'm pouring just to make sure I don't inhale any of that. So that's the safety with lye. Also, you need to make sure that you're always moving slowly when you're working with lye. When you're stirring, you want to stir slowly so we're not, moving quick and anything accidentally splashing up. When you're pouring, you want to pour slowly. Just move very intentionally and slowly. Just go nice and slow, either when you're pouring the lye or when you're pouring the lye milk later on, and you'll be just fine. There's nothing. It does demand respect, and you do need to be careful, but it's not something to be scared of or to be nervous about. You'll learn to handle it, and that will be just fine. But lye does pose additional problems when we're talking about milk. And this is what I've seen a lot of people kind of get hung up on. If you have liquid milk and you're pouring lye into it, lye is an exothermic reaction. And that means it gives off heat when it gets in the presence of a liquid. So if you pour all the lye into the milk, it will actually heat up so much that it will scorch the milk. And if you've never seen scorched milk, I don't have anything around here that color, rats. It turns like bright orange, bright orange. And bright orange milk is not lovely. It doesn't smell good. It doesn't behave well. It's just not something you want to have in your soap product. So there's a trick to how do we get the lye into the milk and have it not scorch like that. This Post-it note is kind of that color, but I would say it's even like darker and more like a deeper orange than that. So how do we do that and not cause that problem? How do we not scorch the milk? And an explanation or an idea I've heard on other places is you just have to pour it in super slow. It's going to take forever to get the lye in the milk. But that still has its problems, because anytime when you get enough lye into that milk, it's going to heat up and it's going to scorch. And that's where the frustration comes in making milk soaps, is how do we get this done without it taking forever and without risking that we're going to scorch this batch of milk. The key is to freeze the milk. You want to freeze the milk in an ice cube tray, and then you've got milk cubes. You can measure the cubes into your bowl. You sprinkle the lye on top. You sprinkle all of it in. You don't have to go super slow. And then you just stir slowly. Again, we don't want to knock any cubes out to cause any problems. Just stir slowly, and that will get the cubes will melt slowly, and that will keep the temperature of the lye milk down so it doesn't scorch the milk. This is very different from other soap making that uses water. If you've watched somebody mix up lye and water, and actually I don't know, on any of the videos I've seen, I don't know that I've seen them do that part. They just kind of assume that you know. But when you're mixing lye and water together, there are lye fumes, and you need to vent those fumes. And that means you either have to be working under a stove hood, or you need to be next to a window with a fan, or you need to be outside. With frozen milk cubes, there are no lye fumes. So you don't even have to worry about that. That's going to be our little secret between you and me. It makes it so much easier. And you will be like one of the smartest soap makers out there if you start there, because you don't have to deal with any of the rest of this lye fumes. And also, if you think about it, when you put the lye in the water heats up just like the milk would have heated up. The water doesn't scorch, but it is super hot, and you have to wait for that to cool off, and it just takes a lot of time. And with milk soaps, when you've got the milk frozen, you don't even have to do that because the temperature is already down. You don't have to wait for it to come down to a safe level to use. So it just makes things a lot quicker, a lot easier, and also a lot safer because you don't have to deal with any of the lye fumes at all. So that is one of the benefits, and that's what makes making goat milk soap, milk soaps, goat milk soap in particular, the best place to start because it's so easy and it's also a lot safer and a lot faster. When you're making soaps, temperature is a very important piece of that equation. But in our process, the temperature, like it's going to behave a little bit different than maybe what you've seen in other videos. We talked just a minute ago about if you put lye in water, it's going to heat way up and you have to wait for it to cool down. And in a lot of videos, you're going to hear people talking about letting this cool down until it's right about the same temperature as your oils. But remember, they're dealing with lye that has started off as very hot. In our process, the lye is actually very cool, about 85 degrees most of the time. So we actually, our target temperature range for our soap batter is between 100 and 120 degrees. That's where the soap making works best. Now, if our lye and milk is cooler than that and our olive oil is at room temperature, we need to actually add some heat to this thing to get it going. If you leave everything super cool and mix it together down there, you risk that chemistry never actually getting going. The chemical reaction needs a little bit of heat to get it moving, and we have to add heat in some way. We're going to add it by heating the coconut and the palm oil. These are the two oils that are a solid at room temperature, and we need to melt them anyway. So we're just going to add a little extra heat to them, and that will add heat to the whole chemical reaction and help it get going and be in that range where it's easiest to work with anyway. So I want you to put on your thinking hat for a minute. If we have our our lye milk right at about 85 degrees, and the olive oil we're not heating, so it's at whatever your room temperature is, probably 70. That's the majority of our soap ingredients, our batter ingredients, are actually less than 100 degrees. So we need to heat that coconut and palm oil probably more significantly than you've ever heard anybody say in a different video. I target 180 degrees for both of those. Now, that's not the majority of the batter. The majority of the batter is our olive oil and our goat milk and our lye. So they need to be hot so that when we add them to the rest of the ingredients, it evens out and it all ends up right between 100 and 120, which is the best place for soap batter to be. So this is going to be different from what you've heard other videos say. But remember, our process here is different. In their process, the lye water is adding the heat to the recipe. But in ours, that lye milk is very cool. So we need to add heat in another spot. We're going to heat that coconut and palm oil to 180 degrees. And then in the end, it's going to all even out right between 100 and 120. You will need to take the temperature of the coconut and palm oil and make sure you've got it in that range. If you're 170, 180, you're in a good spot. But later on, there really isn't a lot of reason to take a bunch of temperatures and to keep taking temperatures of this and temperatures of that and making sure it's all going right. If you've got this at 180, everything else is going to work itself out, because the lye milk is always 85 degrees and the olive oil is always room temperature, and there's very little variation there. So if you've got this at 180, everything else is going to work out and be right in that right range. Now, the first couple times you do this, I would recommend that you take the temperature of that soap batter so you can see that process happening for yourself. But after a while, after you've seen it always land right between 100 and 120, pretty soon you won't even need to take that temperature, because you're going to know if this temperature was good, the rest of it is going to be just fine. After that, you'll put in whatever color and scent you want to add and mold your batter as you would any other soap. So let's talk now about the words gel phase. We get this question a lot in our goat milk soap making class. People asking, what is gel phase, and do I want to do that with these soaps? And gel phase, this is for non-milk soaps now. Gel phase is when the soap batter, after it's poured, it's encouraged to heat up a little bit more. So they're either insulating it by wrapping it in a towel or putting it in, I don't even know what else. They're insulating it in some way to encourage that heat to rise a bit more. And as that heat goes up, sometimes they've even put it like on a heating pad or something else. And as the heat goes up, the soap takes on kind of a translucent look. And that's how you get that. It's not really like clear that you can see through it, but it's got that more translucent look for the soap bars. This, however, is not recommended for milk soap, because remember, we have actual milk in our soaps, and milk doesn't like a lot of cooking. It just doesn't respond well to that. It can start to smell funny. It can start to get like grainy and like it's curdled a little bit because you cooked it. So gel phase is not something that you want to do with milk soaps. So if you have seen other videos where people are insulating, wrapping it in a towel, putting it in the oven, putting it on a heating pad, all these other things, just know that those are not recommended for milk soaps anyway. So this is another way that goat milk soap can actually be the easiest way to start, because you're going to pour it in your mold, and 90% of the time you're going to leave it just like that. Nothing more is needed. Now, you might need to spritz the top with alcohol to avoid soda ash. That is just kind of a white filmy stuff that collects on top of the soap. And spritzing it with high percentage alcohol will just create a barrier to keep that from forming. You might need to do that. If your soap is starting to heat up and you can feel that it's getting warmer, then it just continues to get warmer and warmer, you might want to pop that in the fridge for a couple hours, because in the end, with milk soap, we want to keep the temperature down. We don't want it to get too hot. We don't want it to try to go into gel phase. A milk soap that's trying to heat up and tries to go into gel phase gets a circle on the inside of the bar, that when you cut it, you see this circle, and that just means the soap was just a little hotter than it should have been. So know that that's what gel phase is. It's actually not something that we want to try to create in our goat milk soaps. Any soap that is made with lye is going to need a significant cure time. It's going to need 6 weeks to cure and be ready to use, certainly ready to sell. Now, the lye reaction actually is done in the first week. If you cut the soaps, you had a couple of days. Typically, you would pour the soap, leave it in the mold for a day or two, unmold it and cut it, and then at that point it needs to cure for 6 weeks. But when you're cutting the soap at that first couple days, sometimes if you have a paper cut or something on your fingers, you'll kind of feel it. It's still pretty zingy. So you certainly wouldn't want to use a bar immediately after you've cut it. In the first week, though, that lye reaction completes, and now you've got a nice, safe, gentle bar, but it's still a pretty soft bar. If you used it at that point, it would just kind of melt all over the side of your shower. It wouldn't be a great experience. So you want to give it several weeks of drying time. Now, if you are making soap for yourself and you are so excited that it's very hard to wait the 6 weeks, you can cheat and try it at 4 weeks if you'd like to. That's fine. But here we make sure that any soap we sell has dried for 6 weeks or more, because we want to make sure every bar we sell is a nice hard bar of soap, so that when people purchase it and take it home to use it, it lasts a long time, even if they're using it in the shower or other, wet environments like that. We do try to teach them to make sure the soap gets as dry as possible in between uses. Set it up on its edge if possible, just to make sure it dries all the way around and it's got every opportunity to be as dry as possible, even though you're getting it wet a bunch. But that's what you're looking at. It's going to need 6 weeks or more if you're going to give it as gifts or if you're going to sell it. But after that, you have some amazing bars of soap that are ready to go. I would encourage you to give it a try. Make goat milk soap. Give it a try. Notice the difference that exists in a goat milk soap, even compared to another handmade soap. And it's just really fun. And it's one of those things that if you really pay attention, there is a huge difference. And I bet you will never be able to go back to other soaps either. I hope this video has helped to explain some of the words and concepts that you'll hear as you're exploring soap making, and especially milk soap making. But I know that there's likely a piece or two missing for you yet. And I know that because you're here watching this video and you're not out making soap yourself. You have questions. You are unsure whether you can do this yourself or not. You really want someone to come in your kitchen and just show you exactly how to do this. Well, I can't come to your kitchen, but I do have the next best thing. We have a live goat milk soap making class that we teach here that we would love for you to be part of. It's live on Zoom, and I am talking to people all the time, answering their questions and making sure they know what they need to know to take that first step and give soap making a try. We would love you to be part of the class. In the class, I talk about ingredients and the supplies you're going to need and why you're going to need them, so that you can go out and if you need to buy some things, you know exactly what you need to get and you're not worried about wasting money buying things like goat milk soap base that you don't really need. I talk about all of that stuff, why you need each one so that you can shop confidently, knowing that you're getting the correct stuff. There are also shopping links, so you can just click the link and buy what you need, and you don't even have to do any searching for this. It is super, super simple. I also demonstrate the exact process of how to make our goat milk soap. Plus, you get the recipe and the step-by-step instructions on how to do it all. Then at the end of each class, we open up and we have a question and answer time for whatever questions you have. We want to make sure all of your questions are answered before we leave the call. We know that the reason you haven't made soap yet is because it's really a different process than anything you've done before. It is different, but it's not undoable. You can do this, and we would love to help you get there. So the link to our next goat milk soap class is in the comments below this video. We would love to see you there. We would love to walk beside you as you walk down this path, taking one little step at a time toward being an active, confident soap maker who's having a lot of fun. We just got to get you over the hurdle of the stuff you don't know. So if you would love to join us, just click the link, join our next class, and I will see you there. Thanks for being with us today. In our next video, we are going to talk specifically about colorants in soap making, and also how do you get that that real fun swirl effect that's going on in the soap making. That's probably the question I get most commonly at our soap table when we're at a craft show is, how do you get the swirls in there? We're gonna talk about exactly how to do that in our video coming up.